On today's show, the Cavs got their 13th straight win on Friday night over the Charlotte Hornets, despite the fact they didn't play their best basketball. We'll talk about this win, plus what the Cavs have looked like over the last week or so, and whether or not it's time to be concerned. We'll dive into all that and so much more on today's edition of Locked On Cavs.
You are Locked On Cavs, your daily Cleveland Cavaliers podcast.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? My name is Danny Cunningham. You might know me from my time covering the Cleveland Cavaliers, places like my Substack, The Inside Shot, Cleveland Magazine, 92.3 The Fan, and a number of other stops along the way. I want to say thank you to you for making Locked On Cavs your first listen today and every day. You can find the show anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, anywhere else. Drop us a 5-star rating. Leave us a nice review. Be a friend. Tell a friend about the show. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure a friend is subscribed as well. And if you're watching on YouTube, do me a favor. Hit that thumbs up button for me. Click subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the latest Locked On Cavs content. A proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode, of course, brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. The Cleveland Cavaliers pushed their winning streak to 13 games on Friday night with a 118-117 win over the Charlotte Hornets. This was a game that probably should not have been nearly as close as it was. It's a game the Cavs maybe deserved to lose, and they didn't play their best basketball, and all of these things can be true. The Charlotte Hornets are, of course, one of the worst teams in the NBA. I believe they have the second worst record in basketball. Only the Washington Wizards have a record that is worse than Charlotte. So, how did the Cavs end up winning this game by only 1 point? Well, this is a Cavs team right now that looks pretty tired. They look exhausted. And I thought that was the case on Friday night. I will talk about that a little bit more in segment number 2. But I do want to focus on this game specifically because the Cavs didn't play very well. They didn't shoot the basketball very well. I thought they defended okay. It did seem like they lost a lot of the 50-50 battles, if you will. Like the ball kind of bounced Charlotte's way most of the game. And maybe part of that was a lack of energy. Like you can make the case, and you can't necessarily prove this, but I think you can make the case that like good energy, high energy attracts the basketball. And you tend to win more of those 50-50 battles or turn those 50-50 battles into 60-40 battles in your favor when you have good energy. And I don't think that the Cavs had that on Friday night. I didn't think their energy level was all that high. Donovan Mitchell had 24 points. He was the leading scorer for the Cavs. Darius Garland had 20 points. Evan Mobley had 19 points, including a huge three-pointer from the left wing in the fourth quarter. That was a massive bucket for the Cavs. They do not win that game without that play. DeAndre Hunter had 15 points, and that's kind of where I want to start here because Hunter was a plus 17 tonight in just under 25 minutes. And of course, Hunter's still not in the starting lineup. He is coming off the bench. Max Strus remains in the starting lineup alongside the rest of the core four, and that starting group did not play well on Friday night. And I don't have the advanced statistics to go back to what it's been the last couple of games. And of course, Evan Mobley didn't play in the game against Chicago, and Donovan Mitchell didn't play in the game last Sunday against Portland. So we really have a limited sample size of the core four plus Max Strus lately. But it was not good on Friday. So to start the game, the first shift before the Cavs made any substitutions, they were outscored by Charlotte 13-11. And it just didn't feel like the Cavs had really good energy at any point in this game. Like they won this game because they are so significantly better than the Charlotte Hornets. And listen, Miles Bridges had a fantastic game for Charlotte. He had 46 points. He was awesome. He was the best player on the floor tonight, and it wasn't particularly close. LaMelo Ball, I thought, was really terrible for the Hornets. He played like 22 minutes, and Charlotte actually got outscored by, I think, 17 points when he was on the floor. He fouled out. Like he's just not I don't think he's a very good basketball player in terms of winning. Like he's a human highlight reel, but he's not a guy I think you can win with right now with what his game looks like. And maybe he grows into that at some point, but I don't think he's there right now. And I thought that was very, like, that's a big reason why Charlotte lost this game is because they were so bad with LaMelo Ball on the floor. But the Cavs starting lineup was outscored 13-11 in the first shift. Is that a huge deal? No, that's not that big of a deal. But you would have thought that, okay, they had a day off. And yes, this was the third game in 4 nights still. And I understand that. And this is a team that I think looks pretty exhausted right now. But I did think that in Charlotte's not the easiest city to play in, too. Like, this is something that I do know players feel. Charlotte's not the easiest city to play in. Not because the Hornets are good, not because that fan base is great, but the energy inside that building can be a little bit sleepy, right? Like, sometimes players feed off the home crowd. We see that in Cleveland. I think Cavs fans are some of the best in basketball. And I'm not just saying that because I host a podcast about the Cavs. I've been in a lot of different arenas, and the energy inside Rocket Arena is probably, in my opinion, one of the 5 best in the league. It's really, really good. Charlotte is at the other end of that spectrum. Like, Charlotte's energy inside that building is probably one of the 5 worst right now, especially with the Hornets being super bad. Obviously, I didn't go to this game. I was not on the road for this trip, but it just didn't. It felt like there were probably more Cavs fans than visiting fans. But there's not so many Cavs fans that's like, yeah, this is a huge boost. It's like, it's kind of a weird environment. It's kind of a sleepy environment. And there are times too, and I think we saw this in Boston, where last week in Boston, that crowd was fantastic. Did the Celtics feed off it? Absolutely. The Cavs fed off it too. Like, I do think that this is it's a dirty little secret that visiting players can feed off the energy in the home arena, because it kind of adds a motivation to want to quiet the gym. And if the gym's already pretty quiet, that motivation doesn't exist. That energy level doesn't exist. And I do think that was a thing on Friday night that's just worth bringing up, because the environment was very sleepy. And I thought the Cavs got off to a sleepy start to this game. I didn't think that the energy from the starting group was all that good right away. And then in the second half, when the starters played again, and I know that the Cavs closed the first half with DeAndre Hunter in with the core 4. So it was Garland, Mitchell, Mobley, Allen, and DeAndre Hunter. And the close to the first half was solid. They were up by 11 at halftime. Well, they come out in the third quarter. The normal starting 5 is back on the floor. They're outscored by Charlotte 13-5. They were up, I believe it was 65-52 at halftime. And then they were winning 70-50 or 70-65 when they made their first sub, which of course was DeAndre Hunter coming in the game, Ty Jerome coming in the game, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley going to the bench. So I don't know that this is necessarily, and I know that when we have this starting lineup conversation, it immediately goes to Max Strus, because in the starting lineup, like, he is the guy that is replaceable. You're not going to remove one of the core 4 guys from the starting group. So it immediately becomes a Max Strus conversation. I don't know that this was necessarily on him. Like, I do think more often than not, he is somebody that brings energy to that group. Even if I do think that DeAndre Hunter is probably a better basketball fit, I think Max does a really good job on a regular basis of bringing energy to the floor. And I don't think he did that on Friday night. I don't think anyone outside of maybe Sam Merrill for the Cavs did that on Friday night. Like, this just seemed like a team that walked through 48 minutes of basketball, and they got lucky and they won the game because they are the best team in basketball. They're one of the most talented teams in basketball. They're a historically great basketball team. So when you do that, and I talked about this a little bit, I believe on yesterday's show, when you are that good, you can find ways to win a game when you have your C- effort. Like, I thought this game from the Cavs was like a D+, maybe even a D effort. I don't think that they could play this exact game that they played and win very many games against very many teams. Like, this was not a good game, but they played one of the worst teams in basketball. And I do think that the Cavs deserve credit here for finding a way to win, because they were down, I believe, 9 points in the fourth quarter with less than 6 minutes left. Typically, when that happens, the chances of winning the basketball game are not very high. And the Cavs deserve a lot of credit for on a night where they very clearly didn't have it. They had to manufacture energy, and they found a way to win. And Evan Mobley made big plays. Donovan Mitchell, until the final 2 free throws, I thought did a really good job. DeAndre Hunter's offensive rebound and putback, that was huge in the final 2 minutes. Like, the Cavs did find a way, and they deserve a lot of credit for this part of it. They don't deserve a lot of credit for, I think, probably, 45 minutes of this game. Maybe a little less than that, maybe like 43 minutes, because there were some stretches in the second quarter where they were good, where they went on a run. So they deserve credit for that too. But the last couple of minutes of the game, and I do think that if you want to spin this in a positive direction, is they do need some practice in closing out tight games on the road. Now, the on the road part, I don't think matters a ton because I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Charlotte was some hostile environment. It was not. Or it did not appear to be through my television screen. And I would guess that you probably feel pretty similar to that. But they do need a little bit of work in clutch situations. And this is a team that has been terrific all season in the clutch. They've not lost very many clutch games. They've got an outstanding net rating when it comes to playing in the clutch. But I don't think you can have too much practice at that. Like, that is the thing that I think having more and more experience in these tight, close situations is a good thing. And the Cavs found a way to get it done in another tight, close situation. And that's what we have seen in all 4 of the games that they won this week. And I do think that is something that is important. But they've won 13 straight games, a wildly impressive thing, right? Entering the season, in the entire history of the Cleveland Cavaliers, the longest winning streak was 13 games. It was set, I believe, it had been done twice. The 08-09 season, the Cavs won 13 straight games in the month of March. That was the year they won 66 games. LeBron's first year back in Cleveland, they won 13 straight games that year. After they started the year 19-20, they went on a really nice run. They won 13 straight. That's kind of how they got to the, I believe, number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference, because they went on that type of run. The Cavs have now done that twice in 1 year. That speaks to how remarkable it is. But I also think that it speaks to how great this team is, that this was their 13th straight win. A wildly impressive thing. But I don't think anyone in that locker room is satisfied with how they played on Friday night. Watching the post-game show on FanDuel Sports Network, like Donovan Mitchell spoke about, they won, and that's kind of the good thing to take away from it, but they didn't do very many good things. That doesn't mean they're not going to get back to doing really good things. I think this is just a little bit of a lull. I don't think this is cause for concern, and I'll tell you why next right here on Locked On Cavs. Today's show is brought to you by PrizePicks. Basketball season, well, it's heating up, and there's no better way to get in on the action than with PrizePicks, the best place for daily fantasy sports. With PrizePicks, you just pick more or less on at least 2 player projections for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. It's easy to use and available in over 30 states. Plus, it lets you mix and match projections across different sports. PrizePicks makes it simple. You can set your lineup in less than 60 seconds and stay engaged all game long. And when you win, your money hits your account in as little as 15 minutes. No waiting around. You're going to get that money fast. It's exactly what you want when you do win with PrizePicks. Plus, they've got the Taco Tuesday deals, because every Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25%, giving even more value to your lineup. So download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKEDON NBA for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. Thank you again for making Locked On Cavs your first listen today and every day. You can find the show anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, anywhere else. Drop us a 5-star rating. Leave us a nice review. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure a friend is subscribed as well. And make sure you're also subscribed to Locked On Cavs daily newsletter, your one stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. You can sign up for free right now at LockedOnDaily.com. That is LockedOnDaily.com. So should we be worried about the basketball that the Cleveland Cavaliers have played? Because I think you could make the case. I think that you can make the case that what the Cavaliers did this past week is the worst basketball they've played all season. And that's a crazy thing to say, because what did the Cavaliers do this week? They went 4-0. They beat Portland. They beat Chicago. They beat Miami. They beat Charlotte. They have not lost a game. They've won 13 straight games. But I think there's a case that this was the worst week of basketball they've played all year. And I do think it is worth doing. It's worth going through their schedule. And I know I did this the other day, but it's worth going and looking back at what happened after they beat OKC. They beat OKC. They struggled against a bad Toronto team. They got destroyed by Indiana, who was starting to play better. They beat Indiana. They got pantsed by OKC. They beat a very average Wolves team. They beat a very bad vibes Phoenix team. And then they lost 3 straight games. So over the next couple of weeks after that big win, the Cavs struggled. They didn't play great basketball. And then fast forward to this, they beat Boston, huge win, and then they have a week where they don't play great basketball. I don't think that's the end of the world. And I do think that the one thing that is really, really worth bringing up here is that against Boston and in some of the other games before Boston too, like it was really easy for them, I think, to get up for those games. Like, I talk about manufacturing energy or having the energy built in. So go look at the games before they played Boston. They played New York at home. Yeah, it was the second night of a back-to-back, but that was a game that they looked at and like, okay, we can make a statement in this one, right? Like the Knicks are in third. They're a good team. I think they were like 38-19 at that point or something along those lines. And the Cavs just absolutely whooped them. Like that was a game where they knew we can make a statement here. There are a lot of eyes on us. It was a nationally televised game. It was on ESPN, and they absolutely crushed the Knicks. So that was an easy game to get up for. The energy inside that building was awesome that night. And then you go to the Sunday, a couple days later against Memphis. Memphis second in the West at that point. Another nationally televised game. Another chance for the Cavs to make a statement. What do? They don't play great, but without Darius Garland, they beat the number 2 team in the West in a game that, I thought they were the better team for most of it. Donovan Mitchell had a great game. Then they go to Orlando, a team that a lot of people want to compare them to. And these two teams, I do think, will be tied at the hip a little bit because they played it in a 7-game series last April. Now, the two teams have gone in very different directions since then, but that's always going to be a talking point. And they win that game by 40. And then the game in Boston where they fall down big and then they dominate the Celtics for the final 42 minutes and change. They beat Boston by 29 points in the final 42 minutes. It's just they fell down so bad. But those games were all really easy to get up to. And then you look at this past week, Portland, that's a sleepy matchup. Chicago on the road, who cares? Miami at home, second night of a back-to-back, third game in 4 nights. Miami's missing a bunch of guys. That's tough to get up for. At Charlotte, in an arena where, there's not a ton of fans of the home team care a ton right now, where the Hornets are bad. It's just hard to get up and have the same intensity, have the required intensity for these games. And when the Cavs aren't chasing anything other than the best record in basketball right now, I can see how this can be an issue. I'm not worried about this. I don't think that you should be worried about this. I do think, as I mentioned, it's a really good thing for the Cavs to be able to get practice winning these close games, even if they're coming against bad teams. You still have to execute down the stretch. And did Charlotte on Friday night play above their heads? Yeah, they did. Miles Bridges was awesome. Charlotte, I thought, played a pretty good basketball game for a team that's not all that talented. And you give them credit for that. They deserve credit for that. But the fact that the Cavs were able to out-execute them down the stretch, even if it wasn't perfect, even if you would hope that maybe they look a little bit better down the stretch than they did, I think it's a big deal that the Cavs are finding ways to win these close games. Because what did I talk about on the show the other day? That great teams have the ability to rise to a different level than just about everybody else. The Cavs have not had that ability this week, and that's okay. You're not going to have that ability every single game. Maybe against Chicago, they did in the final 5 minutes where they outscored the Bulls by like 20 points in 5 minutes. So maybe in that game, but the other 3 games, they've not necessarily done that. And then the other thing is finding ways to win when you don't have your best stuff. The Cavs have not had their best stuff since the game against Boston, and they found ways to win. They have had, in my opinion, one of their worst weeks of the season, and they went 4-0 that week. Like, that is a remarkable thing to talk about. And I do think it's a fair thing to bring up that, yeah, they're not playing their best basketball right now, but it's not that big of a deal because the Cavs will not play another game that is going to determine the fate of season or anything close to it, like have real implications until April 20th. That's their first playoff game. They will play Sunday, April 20th in the postseason. That's going to be the next time that the game really, really matters. So until then, if they're in, I don't expect them to be on cruise control the entire time till then. If they are, that is something that is concerning. But if they spend the next week and a half or so on cruise control, it's not the end of the world for this team because we know exactly what this team is capable of. And Kenny Atkinson, one of the things he said earlier this season that really piques my interest was he talked about how teams are more often the team they are at the start of the season in terms of their win profile, who they are out of the gates, what they look like, how good they are, than the team they are in the middle or the end. Like that is a more true test of who the team is. And of course, the Cavs have been great all season. Whether you want to look at the beginning, the middle, or where we're at right now, they have been a great team. But I just don't think there's anything to worry about with this Cavs team. Are there things that need to be tweaked? Does the energy level need to be better? All of those things can be true. Yes, completely agree. But in the big scheme of things, I don't think it's worth overreacting to a 4-game sample size in which the team hasn't played great, but they've still found a way to win. I think finding a way to win these games should be something that fans should be happy about. But I also think that the guys inside that locker room, they can take this and look at it as, okay, we're getting by. But I think that group is mature enough inside the locker room to know that if they want to get to where they want to get to, they need to play much better. They need to have a better focus level, a better attention to detail, a higher energy level to do that. I don't think it's worth being super concerned that this is happening in March. Now, on Sunday, I think they have a chance to flip everything, and I'll tell you why next, right here on Locked On Cavs. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on it than with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game. So even if you miss the opening tip-off or you want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in the action. Plus, if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. I wonder if the Cavs were ever plus money to win this game. They trailed the game by 9 in the fourth quarter. Like, I wonder at that point if they were plus money on the live line on FanDuel. I don't know. I wasn't checking FanDuel at the time, but I do wonder. Let me know if you got the Cavs on FanDuel at plus money in the fourth quarter. I would love to know. But FanDuel's live betting feature keeps every moment of the game exciting, whether you're backing your team for a late game rally like the Cavs had on Friday night, or you're picking a player to hit a clutch three like, I don't know, number 4 on the Cavs did on Friday night. You never have to feel like you miss your chance. Plus, app is super easy to use, and when you win, you get paid instantly. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com, FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thank you again for making Locked On Cavs your first listen today and every day. Like I said earlier, you can find the show on YouTube. And if you're watching right now, hit that thumbs up button for me. Click subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the latest Locked On Cavs content. The Cavs are in action next on Sunday night. It'll be an ESPN game in Milwaukee taking on the Bucks. And I think there's something very interesting going on right now. Below the Cavs, obviously, everything in the Eastern Conference is below the Cavs, but in the standings, because Jalen Brunson was ruled out for at least the next 2 weeks with a right ankle sprain by the New York Knicks. He hurt that ankle on Thursday night in the Knicks' loss to the Los Angeles Lakers. The Knicks are playing the Clippers as I record this on Friday night, so I don't know what happens there. But as I record this, with the Knicks in action, they are 3.5 games above the Milwaukee Bucks. And I don't know that the Bucks are going to be able to catch them. Milwaukee has a very difficult schedule the rest of the way. New York has a very average schedule the rest of the way, although they will be without their best player for at least the next 7 games, which is something that is very important. That could change, ultimately, who the Cavs see in the second round of the playoffs. I did not think New York was part of that conversation, but with Jalen Brunson's injury, the Knicks might be part of that conversation now. That is something that is just worth monitoring. Why I think things could change for the Cavs on Sunday? Well, I do think that this is, what did I just talk about? How difficult it can be to maybe get up for games against teams like Portland and Chicago and Miami and Charlotte. Like, that can be a difficult thing to do. But a nationally televised game, Sunday night, not ideal. Milwaukee does have a good crowd. I will say that. I don't think, and I've been to a lot of Bucks games, I do not think that Milwaukee's crowd is as good as the Cavs, but it's a good crowd. I don't think that it's going to be some sleepy arena. I think that that arena is going to be pretty amped to have the Cavs in town. I also think that the Bucks internally probably believe that they can beat the Cavs in a playoff series. And I think that they're going to want to be a team that wants to send a message to the Cavs about that. The Cavs are going to have an opportunity to send a message right back. They have beaten the Bucks 3 times this year. Obviously, these two teams have not played since the trade deadline. Milwaukee traded for Kyle Kuzma, Chris Middleton, no longer part of the Bucks. Kevin Porter Jr., now a member of Milwaukee as well. He's been a nice pickup for them. And of course, the Cavs have DeAndre Hunter, no more Karis LeVert, no more George Niang. They're fundamentally a different team. But this could be potentially a playoff preview. And I do think that this should be a game that is easier for the Cavs to get up in. We should see a higher energy level from the Cavs than what we've seen over the past week. Now, is it the end of the world if we don't? No, it's not, because this has been a tough stretch. And part of me thinks the next time we're going to see the Cavs look great is going to be next Friday in Memphis, because they play Milwaukee on Sunday, then they've got Brooklyn on Tuesday, and then they get 2 days off. And they've not had 2 days off since before the Boston game. So they played Orlando on Tuesday, had Wednesday, Thursday off. Then they played Friday, Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, Tuesday. So that's a lot of games without a lot of time off, very reminiscent of earlier in the season. So when they do get time off, I would expect them to kind of just get right back to who they were before this little bit of, I guess, malaise, we can call it. But I do think Sunday could serve as an opportunity for them to ratchet that energy level right back up to where it has been for most of the year. And if that happens, everything will be fine. I don't know if it will, but that'll be the thing that I'm most interested in seeing, because the Cavs on Sunday have an opportunity to send a message to the Milwaukee Bucks. And that message could be, yes, you probably have the best player in this series in Giannis Antetokounmpo. You probably have the best player in any series in the Eastern Conference, and maybe any series against anyone other than Denver. But the rest of the Cavs are much better than the rest of the Bucks. And I think that message has been sent a couple of times this year. And I think it could be sent again on Sunday night. And I'm very interested if the Cavs are eager to send that message and prove that point to Milwaukee. But thank you for making Locked On Cavs your first listen today and every day. The Cavs have won 13 straight games. That means my Substack, The Inside Shot, is 13% off. A link is in the episode description if you want to sign up for Cavs coverage that goes beyond just this podcast. And if you're listening, Apple, Spotify, anywhere else, drop us a 5-star rating. Leave us a nice review. Be a friend. Tell a friend. Make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Cavs. Make sure a friend is subscribed to Locked On Cavs as well. And if you're watching on YouTube, do me a favor. Hit that thumbs up button for me. Click subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the latest Locked On Cavs content. I'll be back on Monday, not only with reaction to the Bucks game, but the Locked On Cavs whip around going to be back as well. I will talk to you again on Monday.